Sometimes, just a few times a year on Roblox, there comes a game so big that it breaks numerous records. A game that surges past iconic Roblox giants like Piggy and Doors, becoming the fastest game to reach 1 billion visits in just 33 days. A game so influential that it added billions of dollars to Roblox's market cap virtually overnight. What started as a simple farming simulator made by a 16-year-old exploded into a global phenomenon, shattering every expectation and redefining what success on Roblox looks like. But who is the genius behind this hit game, and how did it get to where it is today? This is the story of Grow a Garden. To understand how Grow a Garden came to be, we need to rewind, back to the early days of its creator, a player named BMW Lux. Although his Roblox account dates back over a decade, the first sign of his scripting journey appears in 2020, in a now archived post on the developer forum where he was looking for work. Like most beginnings, his early projects weren't necessarily groundbreaking, but they were essential. Games like Fox Simulator, Fight to the Death, and Game Developer Tycoon didn't make waves, but they sharpened his skills and laid the groundwork for what was to come. Over the next few years, Lux's development output exploded. He released over 50 games, steadily building momentum. Titles like Math Murder and Camel Hide and Seek began to find real traction, forming the framework that would eventually support something much bigger. And then, on Tuesday, March 25th, 2025, everything changed. Grow a Garden was finally released, an unassuming launch that would soon grow into the fastest game in Roblox history to reach 1 billion visits. Within a week, companies were all clawing to get their piece of the pie. Roblox giant DoBig soon bought in, with legendary dev Jandal buying in too. It was almost certain that at this point, Grow a Garden was destined to become a huge game, but these two investors would bring the dev team, marketing, and community backing needed to help Grow a Garden rise above the competition. If you haven't heard of Jandal, then you've either been on Roblox for 2 weeks or you're living under a rock, because this guy from New Zealand is the mastermind behind quite a few legendary Roblox games.
Check out these raccoons.
Yes, that guy, believe it or not. He created 2021's smash hit Wacky Wizards, a game where you get different ingredients to create a whole bunch of crazy potions. His studio, Splitting Point Studios, is also behind games like Steep Steps, Gunfight Arena, and even acquired A Dusty Trip. And if you've seen my realistic Roblox games video, he also created Rolling Thunder, which was one of the most realistic games featured in that video. DoBig Studios are no slouches either. While they mostly acquire games, they are behind the biggest clicker game on Roblox, Race Clicker. The studio has also been involved with numerous other massive games in the past, acquiring titles like Blade Ball and Fish for hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. They've shown time and time again that acquisition can be one of the most lucrative ways to make money on the platform, raking in billions of Robux from their catalog of experiences. When Grow a Garden finally launched on March 25th, 2025, nobody could have predicted just how quickly it would dominate Roblox. The concept was simple: plant seeds, water them, and harvest crops. But beneath that simplicity was a gameplay loop designed to keep players coming back. Every crop grown wasn't just a collectible, it was progress. Progress towards quests, farming rare plants, and eventually towards building an entire ecosystem of farming, trading, and discovery. The first updates in April added more crops, weather, and quests, slowly layering in systems that made the garden feel alive. Then came events, Easter, angry plants, and the first real seasonal content. For players, this meant that your farm wasn't just a grind, it was a constantly evolving world where every week brought something new. Players would grind all week in preparation for Saturday, where Jandal would hold weekly admin abuse events. This gave players, pay to win and free to play alike, the chance to get rare admin-only effects on their fruit. As a Grow a Garden player, Saturday morning admin abuses were something you did not want to miss out on. The game began to truly explode in the beginning of May 2025 with the Pets update. Pets transformed the farming loop. Suddenly you weren't just planting crops, you were raising companions that boosted your harvests, unlocked new strategies, and created an entirely new reason to log in every day. Pets turned Grow a Garden into more than a farming sim. It became a collector's dream. It combined the previous success of games like Pet Simulator with the fun farming loop that they had perfected. Players chased rare eggs, exclusive event pets, and even mutations later on, each one giving that dopamine hit of progress. Every update further solidified Grow a Garden's addicting gameplay loop, leading them to double their player count almost every weekend. And then came the records. With events like Lunar Glow, Blood Moon, Busy Bees, and Summer Harvest, each one adding limited time seeds, items, and mechanics, players did not want to miss out on anything. This led them to keep their devices on almost all of the time, so as not to miss out on any weather events or rare plants in the shop. These events were critical for the game's success. They create urgency. You don't just play because you can, you play because you might miss out. That fear of missing a crop, pet, or an exclusive recipe turned casual players into daily grinders. By June, updates like the crafting stand and Mega Harvest added recipes, shops, and batch turn-ins, making farming not just a grind, but a game of strategy. The YouTube and social media scene for Grow a Garden began to explode in popularity as well. Creators were pushing the limits of the game, growing massive fruits that fill up the entire map. Some even took on the challenge of getting every mutation possible on their fruits, amassing millions of views and furthering the hype around the game. In July 2025, the devs doubled down on complexity. The pet mutation system added further layers of rarity and complexity to your existing pets. Now there was even more incentive to stay on the game, since you had to level your pets up to level 50 to even use the mutation machine. Suddenly, it wasn't just about owning a pet, it was about mutating it into something no one else had. You could become one of the few players in the entire game that was lucky enough to get the Ascended Pet mutation, a mutation that multiplies your fruit value by 150 times. All of this was exactly why the game was becoming so hard to put down. Every seed planted, every pet hatched, every event played, built towards a larger interconnected system. While most of the events lasted weeks, Jandal and the team also hosted special one-time events, with the first being the 4th of July event. Lasting only 2 days, this update brought Uncle Sam to the garden, with a limited time shop that sold items like the Bald Eagle, Firework Flower, and Liberty Lily. Later that month, Jandal teased a second event on X where he mentioned a celebrity would be involved, and on July 25th, he announced that one of the greatest football tight ends of all time, Travis Kelce, would be joining him for a special one-time admin abuse event. The event went viral, with creators like Creekcraft gaining hundreds of thousands of concurrent viewers. Now, it was clear that this event formula was a hit, but how do you keep making it bigger every weekend? Surely there's a limit. And who better than Roblox's largest creator, Flamingo, to host the next event? Players who participated were rewarded with a Junkbot pet, a reference to Albert's Junkbot raids he hosts. Every weekend, more and more players flocked to Grow a Garden to see what Jandal would do next. 5 million, 8 million, 12 million, 18 million, and eventually, in the game's biggest event yet, Jandal would do the impossible. Grow a Garden would finally hit 20 million players on Saturday, August 24th. In an extremely hyped up event called the Admin Abuse War, Jandal would go head to head with Sammy, the owner of Steal a Brainrot. This game happens to be the second biggest game on Roblox, and it's also known for its weekly admin abuse events. And the community had been in a constant argument over whose events were truly better. Jandal and Sammy had had enough of this, and decided that they would end the discussion once and for all. One Saturday, 2 admin abuse events, 1 winner. Whoever's game came out on top with the most players would be crowned the king of admin abuse. The beef soon became personal, with Jandal calling out Sammy on stealing another person's idea called Steal a Character and passing it off as his own. Jandal said in a tweet, "Play Steal a Character, then play Steal a Brainrot. Which came first?" Now Sammy wasn't gonna let that slide, and he soon responded, quoting a tweet from the original game's director where they mentioned that he was fairly compensated for the idea. Jandal then claimed it was all a psyop and that Sammy was paying off the developer to help win the beef, but regardless, things were getting serious. Jandal then began amassing an army of green bean soldiers, sending them in to steal a brainrot to take other players' brainrots. Roblox was soon flooded with the green bean uniform. If you checked your friends list on that Saturday, or I guess connections list now I suppose, nearly every player was suited up and ready for war. But it would all come down to Saturday morning. The 2 powerhouse devs had agreed to space their events an hour apart to give each game a fair chance, and Grow a Garden was set to go first. The event hadn't even started before Roblox's servers went down. Grow a Garden's player count was climbing to unsustainable levels, with Roblox scrambling to expand their servers to fit the demand. And after all of this, Jandal had finally done it. Grow a Garden hit over 20 million players, peaking around 23 million, further pushing the CCU record to what seemed like unachievable heights. It was beginning to look like Sammy had no chance. But then, 1 hour later, it was now his turn, and he was not about to give up. The players began joining, the abuse began, and the player count started climbing. Within a few minutes, the game was at 18 million, 19, and then 20 million. Sammy was going to do it. As the event came winding down, everyone waited anxiously for the winner to be crowned. Had Sammy done enough? The numbers were in, and Grow a Garden just barely edged out Steal a Brainrot, crowning Jandal the winner. These two events will go down in both Roblox and even gaming history as one of the most legendary days ever seen. Roblox completely crushed Steam's player count record by more than 6 million users. And while Jandal may have won the battle, the real winners were Roblox and Doobig Studios. It turns out that Doobig owns significant stakes in both games, so while Jandal and Sammy did their dirty work and duked it out, he just sat back and watched the cash roll in. But anyways, regardless of which side you took in the great admin abuse battle, it's clear to see that Jandal, Doobig, and BMW Lux came up with something truly special in Grow a Garden. Roblox typically has popularity cycles, with one game dominating and the rest trailing behind. We've seen it time and time again with games like Blox Fruits, Dress to Impress, and even Pet Simulator X. But at the end of the day, what sets Grow a Garden apart from the rest is how quickly the team nailed the psychology of progression. We just keep coming back, day after day, and it feels almost impossible to stop. Roblox thrives on community, and because of this, Grow a Garden wasn't just a game. It became a cultural event. But in my opinion, what truly makes this era special is that two games simultaneously are sharing the spotlight. In all honesty, I was going to end this video talking about how we might never see Roblox hit these numbers ever again, but I have to admit, with a mind like Jandal behind the game, it truly seems like the sky is the limit for Grow a Garden. From its humble release in March to the massive admin abuse war in August, Grow a Garden transformed from a farming simulator into a global phenomenon, and they did it by perfecting the loop. Keep farming, keep growing, and keep coming back. And with that, I give to you the story of Grow a Garden.